Limitation of government is exacted through the Constitution. And the Constitution was written to govern the government and not the people. God bless you all.
We have time for 2 questions. If you have one of these on your table, or if you don't have it, somebody else used it, this is one way to help. Pastor Broden, give money. And I know many of the club members already have. We've talked about it. Second way to help, go to his website, brodenforcongress.com, sign up. You'll start to get emails about when he's doing walks. Everything that he's doing as far as his campaign is concerned. You need to get on that list, okay? And go help him whenever you can. And the last way is, I mentioned it earlier, on election night, we want to make sure all votes are counted properly, and it's important to get out and do everything we can to make sure it's a fair election. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in 2008, there's roughly 600,000. Is that right? And Eddie Bernice Johnson got 83,000 votes. Her Republican opponent got 17,000 votes. Okay, and so that's 100,000 votes out of a 600,000 population district. Maybe there's
300,000, 320,000 are registered voters. Okay. So only 100,000 votes. And so there's a real chance for us to win this through a ground game, and through our ground game, and we believe that's how we're going to beat Eddie Bernice Johnson. She is an 18-year incumbent. She has high name visibility, but there's a lot of negatives that's connected with that name. And her support is soft. We're knocking on doors, we're talking to people, and we're winning them over to our side. Many of the 30 to 40-something-year-olds in the district don't even know who she is. Isn't that wonderful? and so we see a real opportunity that we could possibly upset her with a landslide. She is so arrogant that she is not even taking me serious. That's wonderful. It's wonderful for me. I want to fly under the radar for a little while longer and catch her completely flat-footed. But we do need your support. We want you to go to www.brodenforcongress. You can volunteer there. You can donate to the campaign there. We need money to win. Dallas is the 9th largest media market. It is very expensive. And she has a treasure chest of money. A lot of her money, in fact, over 80% of her money comes from PACs and unions. Individuals do not contribute to her. Not many. And so we believe that we can beat her if we can have a grassroots movement, many people giving, $100, $200, $300, as much as you can give, the maximum if you can, that we will have enough to catch her completely off guard with a media blitz right at the end. And so we need your help. We need your help.
All right, now I'm going to start us off.
When will you guys take your first poll inside the district?
It is our plan to do a poll at the end of this month. It's our plan to do that, but as we go out and walk the neighborhoods and get our name up, we need money to buy signs, to get the signs out, so that the ID can go up. One sign can account for 16 people. You put one sign in your yard, 16 people, they believe will see that sign and know who that person is. So we're trying to get as many signs as that's why we need money. I hate to tell you that, but it takes money to win these things. Yes, ma'am.
Now, I'd like to know more about you and where you came from and how you got the way you are, because if I listen to the liberal media and Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, they tell me that black people and Hispanics only vote Democratic and belong to the Democratic Party. I mean, that's just been all over the news yesterday, what Harry Reid said. So what I want to know is, how did you get so enlightened and so smart and so well-spoken and intelligent, and you got it together, and I don't know what happened?
It's nothing unusual. I am not an anomaly. I am a group of African Americans who have been ignored by the major media. We're there. You've heard of Thomas Sowell. You know that we're there. We're there. We've just been ignored. And the black community in mass is conservative. We're a conservative community.
And they're
But what the
disillusioned.
Democrats have been successful in doing, and what we have not been successful in doing, I say we, conservative and Republican, our problem is messaging. We don't message well, and we don't counter what we're labeled with. We're often labeled what? Racist. That's a word that causes trepidation and fear. There is such a history of racism in America and a legacy of racism in the psyche of the black mind that when we hear that word racist, it makes us back up. And that's what you have been labeled repeatedly over and over again. Eddie Bernice Johnson, for every white person that runs against her, she will inevitably call them racist, and the community will shut down and won't listen. They won't listen. Although they're conservative, and they probably agree with him more than they do with her. But they don't hear the message because of the label. And that's what the Democrats are doing right now in America. They are dividing us with that word. The Tea Parties are racist, the 9/12ers are racist, the grassrooters are racist. And nobody wants to pay attention to who we really are, Tea Partiers and 9/12ers, because of that label. We've got to figure out how to counter that and how to message to win the hearts and minds of men and women and boys and girls all over this nation. And I believe the answer to that is the recasting of our founding principles, to turn the discussion away from racism to founding principles and American exceptionalism, articulated not only by the majority community, but by men like me. You see, here's the thing that I think, the voice that is not heard often and consistently in America is the black conservative. He is not heard from often. Rush doesn't talk about him much. Hannity doesn't talk about him much. And none of the talk shows talk about him much, but he's there. And he's not only ignored by the liberal media, but he's ignored by the conservative media too. And so there's a need for us to have a breakthrough, to reposition men, Hispanic, blacks, and Asian conservatives who can articulate the conservative principles that made this nation great, that's sourced in a Judeo-Christian frame. I'm a pastor. I believe in the Bible. I believe in the inerrant Word of God. And how did I come this way? I was involved in the cultural wars back in 1980. I was fighting for babies. I was fighting for babies. I was fighting for traditional marriage. That's what I was fighting for. And I've been fighting in that fight for years. I'm 58 years old. And I've been involved in this for a long time. A long time. But when Barack became president, I said, oh my God, there's something else we got to do. We got to stop this. Because I knew, not that Barack is he's a black man, and that was a historical moment. I recognize that. But he was the wrong black man. And because he is a socialist, he is an ideologue.
He's also
and I recognize that he is an ideologue, and he's a socialist. This man believes in Saul Alinsky's rule for radical. In Saul Alinsky's model of a community organizer, the community organizer is a revolutionary. Read his book. And the revolutionary was to organize the community and foment discontent. And the second thing which caught me, I was just stunned by it when I saw it, because it just affirmed to me what they're doing. Foment discontent with the government and moral confusion. Listen to me, men and women. The attack is happening twofold. They're tearing at the moral fabric of our society so that anything goes. There's no right and there's no wrong. Absolutes are out the window, and so if I want to marry my dog, I can marry my dog. So that's the kind of moral decadence that we're experiencing right now.
Are you going to use the churches? Can you use the churches?
Yes, I'm a pastor,
and
I have access to pastors within the district. I'm talking to them now. Dr. Evans had me at his church, over 1,500 men at his men's conference. I spoke to them, and they came up to me, and all of them, look, when they hear the message, and I don't attack Barack, and I don't attack him because he's special to them. Don't attack him, you just deal with the issues. I'm a conservative, and they are too. They believe in life. They believe in that euthanasia is wrong. You know, the 5 issues on the table. abortion, euthanasia, embryonic stem cell research, human cloning, and same-sex marriage, or the redefinition of marriage. That's on the table right now, and how we respond to those 5 issues as Americans will ultimately determine who we are as a people.